I'm moving forward every day, Jesus. I just let him lead the way every second, every minute, every hour of the day. I'm moving with Jesus every day, 24/7. With Jesus every day, 24/7. I'm moving with Jesus. I'm moving with Jesus every day.
If it had not been for the Lord who was on our side, what a testimony from the psalmist. And perhaps it is testimony that you yourself share at some point in your life. Maybe you are saying to yourself, I shouldn't have passed that exam. Maybe I should not have gotten off from that hospital bed. I shouldn't have gotten that promotion or gotten that job. Or maybe I shouldn't be alive. Well, I have the guest just for you who is willing to share his own experience. And I'm sure out of the bowels of his experience, you too would concur with him. I shouldn't be alive. Odinga Dickenson, thank you for taking the time to be with us on JC 24/7. And you want to share with us, you shouldn't be alive today.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to that juicy stuff, let's talk a little bit about your experience with the Lord. Because at one point, if I'm not mistaken, you were with Christ, you were in the church. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was brought up Assembly Adventist, Christian,
Right.
from birth. You know, my whole family is Christians.
Right.
And whilst we was a family, some things happened.
Right.
You know, my mother and my father separate.
Okay. How old were you at this time?
I
When they
was
separated?
about between 10 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It had an effect upon you.
yes, it
anyway.
had a great effect because I was close to my mother and my father. Children always grew up wanting their both parents to be together.
Right.
And whilst they separate, you know, the Christian experience become dull
Right.
because no daddy and mommy to carry to church.
Okay. How many of you in the family? How many children?
5 of us.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you were what number?
Number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, the first in my father's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My mother has 2 children before
Right.
with dad. Yeah.
And it started to take a toll upon your life.
Yeah, it started to take a toll upon my life because, you know, in that situation now it had with a tug and pull. And normally the children has be the road between.
Right.
You know, at some point of time I was with my dad. Some point of time by my mom, you know,
Right.
police have to be moving us from house to house.
Wow.
And I turned to, you know, the last move we make was I was about 14. And I told my father that one Saturday I went to church and I didn't get up and sing, and he asked me if I want to go by my mother. Because he used to call me Mommy Boy, you know,
Right,
Mommy
right,
Boy, you know.
right.
I don't want that name now, I don't know Mommy Boy.
I
He used to
see.
call me Mommy Boy, so Daddy had a little problem with it because everything I asked for my mom.
Right.
Not as that is that a child always needed 2 parents.
That's
I
right.
read a book I buy in this conference office that a child don't pick sides. They always like their 2 parents around. So I was just missing Mommy because I was by Daddy.
Right. Right.
So he said you need to make a decision. But he gave me a decision I make. I didn't really want to make a decision. I just wanted my 2 parents, access to my 2 parents. I
Right.
didn't want much access to my mother.
Right.
And he told me at that 14 years old, that was a real turnaround in my life, Pastor. You see, well, if you need to go by your mother, pack your bags and leave. And that day I used to live at Bellevue. I walked from Bellevue Hill, if you know Bellevue.
In St. James.
Yeah, straight to Bellevue.
Wow.
With a bag on my back at 14 years, a big garbage bag in my clothes, straight to the foreshore.
Wow.
So he asked me if I wanted money. I did that just make up my mind. I said I didn't want no money. Because the way how he did told me had was to choose. I find I didn't had was to choose, Pastor. And from that day was a turnaround in my life. My father had good Christian principles. But I believe by now as being a parent, he needed to balance it.
Right,
You know?
right.
And he make us, had was to choose side. I didn't want to choose. I love my mother, I love my father. And that day, leave to go by my mother, and that was a turnaround in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, come
Okay.
back home with the old friends, block life, and my mother she was not a Christian that time. The family life, they take a toll on her that she had to leave church.
Oh, she left church as well. Okay.
So, you know, was my granny struggling to carry us to church, and I come back home, you know, on my own, because mommy looking for it. Daddy want no more part with me because I take a choice.
How did you feel when your father, or when you learned that your father didn't want any part with you?
It hurt me.
Okay.
It gave me it make a turnaround in my life,
Okay.
drastic, I
Okay.
live with hate,
Right.
because I didn't want to make a choice. I wanted my two parents in my life, and he told me, long as you go there, I'll have to cut ties with you.
And I suppose that hatred led you out of the church?
Yeah, they led me out.
And led you into...
Because I see that if that is Christianity, best I go where I get love. And the block show you a certain amount of love. Some might say that is not love. We know that being a Christian now, back in God, it wasn't that love what God wanted, but
Right.
at that time it was a support to me.
And they were accepting you anyhow.
Yeah, when I cry and give them the story, and sometimes I see my dad in the road and all, I can't even address him, and every time I see him, I used to get rowdy, and curse and more anger because he's not a part of my life.
So you weren't speaking at all?
No, he make a decision if you go by mom, have
That's
nothing to do with him. Yeah.
Wow. And that went on and for...
That make me had a mind.
Okay.
Because when somebody in your life where you wanted them there, cut ties with you, you turn a criminal if you don't have the right support around.
Okay. And you became one.
Yeah, I became one.
How did that begin?
So whilst I was back home, Granny was trying to carry me to church, but I didn't really want no church because mommy trying to make it, seeing her crying. Right after my father sent my brothers and sisters and blame it on me, you see that because you are not there, they started crying because I was a brother who used to take licks from my brothers, take discipline from my brother and sister. I always feel, I asked God at a time when the breaking up was going on, if anybody to die in my family, I want to die. I always make up that mind, not my brother and sister. So I always come. So when they see a brother like me not around, they start to cry, and he pack their bag and send them back down. And whilst they was home with us, I see a responsibility as a big brother to get things for them. Because mommy alone, at that time I love my father, but that time he didn't have that experience to deal with the situation. Because he was brought up in a home. So I understand that and understand it now, but that time I didn't understand. So I have to look for money at that time to help support my mother. Going to school, I have to buy my own school things, but mom say, but I have to support my little brother and things. She says she supported me too, but when I see the strain on her, I start, looking to sell. I leave church, no more going back to church and start a hustle. But the hustle trade, it starts small. The first thing I started hustle is we started tote water, for people. Then after water, we might wash on cars. At a young boy of 14-year-old, I had a food stall, a business. So I was going junior sec, Mokrapo junior sec evening shift. So in the morning I have to get up early, go in the market at 14 years and make market. And whilst I was making market, selling market. And whilst out there, people give you opportunity to go the next week. Because they're looking for, and when you hear mom crying in the night and she need this and she need that, can't go to dad because dad say you pick a side and you have to stand that secure. You have to stand that. So I become a big man in a little child's body. So mommy give me a certain amount of play. I used to discipline my brothers and sisters. She not come home, I have to be them. Up to this day, I did always apologize to them. We cry together now. I tell them that was my responsibility led on me as a man in a child body. And I had it hard, but I decide to stand there for my brothers and sisters. I get opportunity while selling fruits to sell drugs.
You were just discussing the whole idea of your getting involved in drugs. I suppose your life of crime did not end with drugs. Maybe there were other things you did. Could you share with us briefly?
Whilst beginning, criminal life has started small, and the enemy send things your way, which your enemy will see it and involve you in small things first. Small packaging. I used to had a food stall, and selling marijuana. Pastor, marijuana was my side trade, and it grew that. Normally, he used to have it in small packages, and then I started buying it in big packages where, And then I was set up. I could see it now that I had distributors giving me without consignment, without money.
Wow.
So you are debted to the distributors. The more he come back and ask you how much finish.
Right.
So he giving you with consignment is more, you're more debted to the marketer. And after that, we used to sell crack cocaine. Me and my
This
cousin.
is what age you're talking about?
That age is still going junior sec. I was about between 14 to 16,
Okay.
and I'm getting involved in selling drugs, getting involved in smoking drugs, My mom didn't even know what I was doing. Some people blame their parents. Some people say their parents know what their children doing. Yes, it has some, but I was an innocent little boy selling fruits.
Wow.
But was getting involved because I was put in a position of being a man, helping my mother with things, for my little brothers and sisters. So I see updated that I have to make that money to help support myself.
And I suppose your father was nowhere in the picture.
No, he was not there at the time. The mom and he had separated, and they had their back and front, but I had to get up and get life, on my own. Yeah.
Okay. You also mentioned off air that you were involved with a group called Robin Hood.
Yeah, we live in Carnage, and we had a group. We used to take care of houses, and we used to go on houses, what we building on houses, what we take care. We used to go on. We used to steal from these people, and bring it in the ghetto. If we see a house of ours need to paint, we go in and watch it on job site where the house is nearly to paint, and crime is a setup thing, is a mind thing, and the mindset we had was we was intelligent in what we was doing. So we see that Pastor Riley, your house nearly to paint, we know that now plaster and cement setup, we know that they have paint inside there. And when we get in there, we get in the paint and we will give it to the community at half price, So what I'm saying today, sometimes we watch is only the criminal elements, but if nobody wasn't buying from people who selling things, it would have no trade. So it has people in the community who are supporting these criminal elements.
Tell me something. During your whole life of crime, was there any thought or conscience towards God?
The Bible says, bring up in a child, and when he get old, he will not depart. You see, I did leave God, but God never leave me. Every time I go to do something, my heart always beat. And they always say that when you're doing something and nothing don't worry you, that means that the Holy Spirit left you. The Holy Spirit had never left me. I leave God. And certain things, what I'm doing, I had was to fight, wrestle with my conscience. But after a while, the Spirit of God get dim to us. A man see God leave us, we walk away from God. I see God as the light, a street light. The Spirit of God. And whilst you're walking away from the street light, they get dimmer. But the street light never move away from you.
Oh, beautiful.
So after a while, doing crime was a joy to me. When we get called to do a demolition, we went even in houses. We used to get called to go different places in houses and like if people owing people, we not know debtors. We used to go get a van and go and take out things from their house, bully people. And when we reach home, Pastor, the mindset at that time, we were still feel joyful about it.
Joyful is it?
Yeah, we laugh how granny cry and how daddy cry and how we take the thing and it was a joke, because drugs, when you're taking drugs, the enemy have you in a certain mindset.
Right.
And you will see these things as a joy, but I don't see it now as a joy. I feel so hurt.
The wise man Solomon says that folly is joy to him that is destitute of wisdom. So what is supposed to be evil becomes good to us.
Yeah.
How did your life how did you find Christ again? Or how did Christ find you back? When did that journey begin?
Well, God works in mysterious ways, and from I know now that all things work together for good. One day we was going and we was well broken. I think it was coming up to Christmas. Can't forget that day. And me and my cousin, a guy was in a car.
How many of you?
It was about 5 of us in a stolen car. The car was a stolen car and leaving to go on a robbery. And the guy tell us, when we are leaving today, anything you do not do, I have the gun behind, I will shoot you. And that day I say, God, we might not come back home here. Some bar and this different establishment down south, we get a crime is an organized thing. So somebody from down here, remember we strange men, somebody from down there link us up to come down there to do this work. And whilst we was leaving,
By the
thank
way,
God.
How old were you this time?
All I was, well, you're growing crime, so you start to walk and creep, and then you want to do the big boy stuff. So I was around the age of 17, 17, 18 there. 18 there. I didn't even have my first child, And whilst we was leaving to go, as I recall, one guy, he was even a Christian. Up to now, he just still say, watch me and smile and shake me. They see the transformation. He knocked my glass. He knocked the glass and tell us, don't go. Because he was involved in these things. But like, he knocked. That is the last thing I know before we knock a glass and say, don't go. But we are done, make up our mind. I say, God, I don't have nothing. And I always speak to God in spite of what I'm doing. I feel what saved me today because the consciousness that I really keep that relationship with God in spite. That's why I'm in my ministry, I don't look down at no one because the heart is where God deals, and my heart was with God. But I just needed that support to come back. And when we was coming down our main road called Lansmeter Road, Carnage, from Carnage, and that is an area everybody know about. And we as we coming down the road, Lansmeter, we was making up our mind. Drugs was in the car. It have a rum, what people drink today, pastor, called punching rum. That is a rum where give you a certain, the enemy have a certain influence on that rum. It gives you a sort of belly. We call it on the block the truth. If you're free to track a girl and you drink that rum, you're going to speak all the night. If you're free to hit somebody and you have them in mind, all you have to drink the truth, and as you see them, you're hitting them one time. It had a power on us, and we had that punching, was drinking the whole evening. That wasn't my first robbery because I went on one, and the one before that I was drinking punching too. It gave you a certain belly, and a certain, it gave you a certain high. And whilst we was out there, we coming on with punching, drinking, we have weed smoking, air condition, when Satan controlling your life and taking that steering wheel to do anything, and reaching up to the place there.
Go ahead.
An unknown car passed us, skid in front of the vehicle. Many black, it had some people say, and hold up, or we didn't even know. Many black just come out and start shooting at our car.
Wow.
And while it was happening, thank God I had known God. I started to talk to God and call on God, and one of the persons from the next car jumped on the bonnet on the car and started shoot down. And while that happening, the big car was reversing, and all the smoke, but my eye was closed, and then I opened my eye and see a certain smoke coming in the car. It had smoke all the time, but a thick smoke coming in the shield of the glass.
Where that came from?
I don't know. And from that point, Pastor, knowing from being a Christian, I see the presence. I see like God is here because I was praying, men crying, and they say it's only when you're in a situation, the big man is crying.
Wow.
And while the glass was froggy, I see God in the car, and I open my mind, and then a door open.
Wow.
Explosion in the car, the seat is down, the fragment of the sponge bursting up,
So I suppose you would have gotten shot by now.
No, nothing yet. I make up my mind.
You didn't get shot yet?
Yeah, I say, God, I'm going to die today, and I hope that you save me. Because I was brought up in a home, and we know about being saved. Some people say that God is coming so long. And these Christians just seeing people receive. I understand that I have a soul to be saved. And while the car was busting up, the seat busting up, everybody bawling, who get shoot, and this every minute you hear, I get shoot. And me, I sit along, feeling no shot, and I see a door open. Every time the door open, I know that God, because I always see God in a 3-part series. I see God talk to me 3 times, and I know it's you.
Wow.
So the first time I see the smoke, the second time the door open, I say, God, this is you. Will you have to carry me out of this car? I will highlight out of the car, Pastor. The first thing I see is a gun facing straight to my face, guns blazing. And the policeman lining me up to send me home. We talk on the street, that is for killing time.
I suppose this is the point where you got shot.
No. Didn't get shot yet. I make up my mind to get shot. I say, God, it's so I'm gonna fall out here and die. All the time the drama going through, I was talking to God,
Okay.
like a friend, Everybody, because I know a God.
Wow.
Circumstances make me leave him. And
Right.
whilst I was running, and the bullets passed, and I hear galvanized mashing up, bradam, like the movies, because we running through a lot of land, galvanized mashing up, And one of my partners was telling me, was running, he was telling me, duck.
Wow.
And run, but I was running straight. I was just in a maze, but you see, I believe in all that the angels of the Lord encamped around them, and that's why one of my greatest psalms is Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow. So that day, the shadow was scaring me through that bushes. Oh, Lord and behold, I say, I escape it, end up on the next street.
Without any shot,
Yeah,
not any injury, nothing.
Yeah, end up on the next street, and as I turn and watch left, I turn watching down to the next barrel of a gun. I said, God, you don't want me to spread out on the street.
Okay, this is the point where you got shot.
No. I said, God, not on the street. And I was talking to God, and my partner's telling me, Doc, run low. And I was just I was just running high, because normally some of them had more criminal experience about me, so no one shots you, run low. And I see my partner running low, but I did not all that experience like them had in that journey. And I was running high. But the barrel, and he says stop, and while he's saying stop, something just was moving me, which I know right now the Holy Spirit, And while I was going up that hill, you see the bank, the hill what you're running on, you see dirt at the side, you're just mashing up. Pastor, like the amen girl, like they could not hit me.
Come on now.
Yeah, they could not hit me and reach up on the bank, and when we reach up, more police, more vehicles all around, police vehicles all around, and we just, the God just moving us, And once I reach, everybody is seeing everybody in that vehicle die. But you see, when God put the hand on you,
have mercy.
so some people will say that some can't come out of crime. No, God could take you out. And from that day, Pastor, I say, God, you saved me, and I want to give my life back to you.
Amen. Amen. What you just described is what I see in the movies, what I see people experience. And this is just movies, but you have now lived a live movie. Exactly. But God made a difference in your life. Was this the point where you fully came back to God, or did it take
This was the joy. This was the joying point.
Right.
Yeah, for me I say I will never decide to go back in that crime life. But we make pact with God and feel that God, God's so loving. He still come down low and try to deal with us.
Amen.
And one carnival, I went in town. I was going to church, leave crime life, leave my brother, and they say, well, me not in that crime, but I say, God, I'm still my weakness of drinking and smoking. And went and one carnival season, the last carnival season I ever partied, the first thing, I went in a fete in Pier 1, people don't know Pier 1, and we was getting on, and the security put me out, number one.
Just like that?
Yeah. End up in stadium in a fete, and 4 police officers just come bulging to me. And we asked me, so I asked them, what is the problem? They say, get out from the fete. They say, smoking weed. I say, no, I have no drugs in me. I stop smoking weed, and take me and just show me out of the fete. I say, God, I number 2. I say, God, but you had to show me number 3. You see, I maybe feel I challenge God too much, but he always showed up to me. I feel God favor me.
Amen.
And not because you have a special favor. You have a favor for anyone too. And the 3rd time I went in town, that is the first time I hear God really speak to me. I see me in the car in the form of the thick smoke, because the smoke would come in the car like it was shielding certain bullets. Bullets would hit the windshield. Some didn't come in the car, else all of us would have been dying. Yeah, the car was a strainer in the police station. When people pass and see it, a car strain right, wrong, and nobody died, because I believe that when a man of God or woman of God is in a place, the presence of God come there and conserve that place.
Amen. And you could certainly say, I shouldn't be alive.
I shouldn't be alive. I was dead. And in that fed, God tell me, in that tongue for the Spain, the sky get all the music around me shut down, and I hear a voice from heaven say, if I come now, what it will be. Pastor, that day was my last day living my own life, and I came back to God and I said, God, I will never go back in that life.
Amen.
You know?
You heard that voice for yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
Audible voice.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will tell people that parents encourage criminal activities in the home. I start to be a criminal pastor from in my home by the movies I watch and the music I listen.
Wow.
Get Rich or Die Trying. And one of my artists was DMX, blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. And all the people know these artists, and these artists now put a sense inside of you that a killer instinct.
Right.
Because when you listen to these things, after a while your children want to live it. So we have to protect our children in our homes of what movies they watch, because that is the movies will teach them criminal activity. Because someone asks your child, how he becomes white trained and so, but did you structure his movies and what he listened to?
Right. Now, we have heard of how God has played a significant part in your life. But do you think that God may have delivered you so that you could now be an agent in delivering others as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I live in my ministry, I went Barbados, Grenada, all places, give testimonies, himself, in my area, they call me pastor, and himself, anywhere I go, any senior pastor hear me preach and testify, they say, come in the ministry.
Right.
And himself this week, I would tell you, this is the divine calling. When you call me and set up shop, himself, one of my elders tell me yesterday, he said, you need to go in the ministry. And he said, that is your calling. And when every time, I will tell you what your gift is. When God has given you a gift, it's a 2-part series. It's to keep you and to bless others.
Come on now.
And every time I get called to do something for God is calling me to ministry.
Have mercy.
But I waited on God.
Well, this is your ministry, actually.
Yeah.
It has already begun.
Yeah, my ministry.
Because God, once you begin to share with others what God has done in your life, that becomes a ministry in itself. If there's somebody listening to this telecast, Odinga, who is saying, well, it's easy for you to say, you have come out, I can't come out, and there are some who may be tempted to go in, and you have one final word or a few words to share with them, what would you tell them? I want you to look at the camera.
What I will tell them, God is a spiritual God, but He like you to make moves. And your mind, He deal with in your mind. Faith is the subtle thing, hope for evidence not seen. Right. Every time you're going through your criminal experience or whatever experience you have, domestic, whatever experience you have, tell God you want better.
Right.
And don't acknowledge what you are doing as the right thing. That will help me. Every time I do a robbery, I used to feel joy of pelting people's house down with big stone, vandalizing people's car. I always go in the night and say, God, you know it's wrong. Anytime you not acknowledge what you're doing is wrong, you can't get help, Pastor. I always know what I was doing was wrong. And I always ask God every night. Some night I go into kneel down or lying down to pray, and I say, God, you will answer this prayer now because I know in the morning I'm going to do it again. That is not your cry and your problem. Let God deal if you don't answer it. You continue praying, and I was consistent in asking God to help me, and I see today He bring me out of that situation.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Well, Odinga, we thank you for taking the time to be with
thank you,
us,
Pastor.
sharing, and we're hoping that you'll come back and share more of what the Lord is doing in your life.
Yeah.
1 John 1:9 says it best. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive you and give you a new start. Maybe you too are saying, I shouldn't be alive, but for the grace of God. If He has been gracious to Odinga, surely His grace is sufficient for you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We look forward again to having you join us on JC 24/7.
Thank you for viewing JC 24/7. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to inspire your living as you prepare for heaven. You can get it all on JC 24/7.